Hi everyone! Sorry, Milo. Sorry. Hi everyone, Milo and I are going to speak today about the oil sweater from We Are Knita. I keep the bag because it's very convenient for my yarn stash now. So this is the kit I got, and these are the color I chose for it. So this jumper is my very first knitted project. So it was my first knit, and really, so I go to those creative evenings, and sometimes you see people and they're learning to knit and they're just doing rows and rows. They're not even making a scarf, they're just knitting to learn to knit, and I just can't do that. I just can't spend time on something that's going to be used for nothing. I don't know if it's such a good trait of mine, but like really I just can't be asked. So I didn't want to make a scarf for my first knit project. I wanted to make a jumper, and this they consider it an easy level, and I think on the website they classify it as confident beginner. And I thought, well, you know, I'm a beginner, I'm also full of confidence in my abilities apparently, so I made this as my very first knit project. And yes, when you start an actual jumper as your first project, it means there's a bit of a learning curve. So the ribbing here at the bottom, I remade it probably 4 times, and it took me an hour every time. It took me just so long to make this stupid rib. And also, I don't know if you find that, but like when you start with ribbing, when it's on your needles, it looks really weird. And so I kept thinking I was doing something wrong, and now that it's on the jumper, you can see it's ribbing and it's fine. But really, when I was working it, I was really confused. I was really unsure if this was the right thing or not, but it ended up working fine. So after 4 times we got ribbing, and then there's the color work, which honestly, when it's your first knit and people see that there's like different colors on the jumper, even though obviously some bits it just changed from line to line, so it's super easy, but the color work here makes people super impressed. It wasn't super well explained in the booklet that came with the kit, but honestly, YouTube is your friend, and YouTube explained it very well to me, so I could do the color work with no problem, even though it was my first project. Now the thing is, this is not truly my first project. This is my second first project, because I finished this. So I was at the time during rehearsals for the musical Young Frankenstein, and you know, between scenes when you're not singing or dancing, you have a lot of time. So I was knitting, and I did pretty much the whole jumper in rehearsal, and then I finished it, but the sleeves were like super tight, and they were also a bit short. I'm gonna put a photo here. Sorry, Milo, I'm gonna put it on your head. I'm gonna put a photo here of the first time I finished this jumper, and the sleeves were just too tight and very short. And because it was so tight, the thickness of the seams was really bothering me in the shoulders. Like I couldn't put a coat over this jumper. Like, it was just so big. I felt like I couldn't put my arms, you know, next to my body, because there's just so much yarn around me. It was just feeling like a bit too much. So I wasn't really happy, and I frocked the whole thing. Look, like you live and learn. I shouldn't have frocked the whole thing when only the sleeves were the issue. To be honest, I also had a little issue with the neckline. I'll show that specifically now. I clearly didn't join them like properly, because you know what you do is like you sew up one shoulder, and then you do the neckline, and then you close up the next shoulder, and like it clearly didn't line up super well. So I managed to make this better the second time round. But except the neckline, I just wanted to correct the sleeves, and so it's just a bit silly that I re-knitted the full thing to correct the sleeves. But here we are, you live and learn. The sleeves are now a bit longer and also a bit roomier, which I find a lot more comfortable. The seam is still like just super big. You can't do anything about it. It's a super chunky yarn, it's a chunky jumper, so the seams are really bulky, and it's still like not very comfortable under the jumper, so it stays like at home jumper for me. So because I frogged it, and the second time I just didn't want to weave as many ends in, I was just so lazy. And so what I did is I felted many of the places where I had to join the yarn together. I felted it instead of making knots. I don't know what's the best technique. Like, honestly, if you have advice on this, I'm really happy to hear, but I felt it all the ends. And so actually it created really thick bits. You can see them here. It drives me mad. You can see it from even like so far away. It's really like created those hard bits of yarn that just stick out and they don't blend in as well. So I remade the whole thing and not there's like mistakes just in the middle front here. That's life. That's you live and learn. I think felting the yarn was maybe, I mean, a smart technique. It was also very fun, but maybe to reserve for like places that are going to be in the seams or a bit less visible than here in the end. I obviously had a lot of felting to do because as I frogged the first project and I had to cut lots of bits of yarn, so I didn't have so long strands to work with, so I had to keep felting it to repiece it into one piece of yarn. And you can also see here I ran out of the pink yarn, so I used some of the unicorn yarn to finish that sleeve. Oh, that's also something I changed compared to the first time I did the jumper. I had the purple sleeves on the mustard side and I had the pink sleeve on the unicorn side, but so I just found that it looked a bit samey, those two colors. I'll repeat the photo so you can see. I didn't really like the sleeves that way around, so I like much better the way the sleeves are this time. So would I recommend this jumper? I mean, to learning on the big needles really works because it's like, first it goes really fast because the stitches are so big. Milo. It goes really fast, the stitches are super big, so you know, as a beginner it's really motivating because maybe you don't knit so fast, and so the project goes fast for you in a sense. So that was good. But now I'm with a jumper that I really will never wear outside, and I mean, I don't know how practical it is, how wearable it is. So I'm a bit, I'm a bit unsure about this. I think it was a really good learning opportunities. I definitely shouldn't have done it twice. That was me being silly. But I don't know if the finished product is so great. So good learning opportunity, but then if you don't have a garment that you really want to wear, I don't know if it's so positive. I mean, the yarn is also quite expensive. I think that kit cost me nearly 150 euros. So that's also to take into account. Sorry, the neighbors are making noise and Milo doesn't like it. So yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna stand so you can see the full jumper. The jumper. So it doesn't have much shape. I mean, it's not the most flattering jumper you'll ever see. But here we are, here it is. I'm proud of myself. I kept it during the whole video and I didn't overheat. So shows what true wool can do to you and your body temperature. Milo and I can't wait to see you next time. And until next time, we want to tell you that you can make anything